Today let's talk about add, subtract, multiply, and divide decimals. In this video we're going to just discuss addition and subtraction. So the first thing I want to know is, what do you remember about adding and subtracting decimals? Well, there's three basic steps that we go through, or three basic things that we need to think about when we want to add or subtract decimals. The first thing that we need to do is we need to remember to line up your decimals. Anytime we're going to add or subtract, we must line up the decimals. We have to add zeros if you need them. And in my opinion, anytime you're adding and subtracting, you should add your extra zeros for placeholders to help you keep your work nice and neat. And then you just need to add or subtract your numbers. So let's try a couple. Here's our first one. Well, this one's kind of a big one, but it's really not that tough. We start by writing the 456.7 down. 456.7. And now we just need to write the 37.965 underneath that one, remembering to line up your decimals. So I like to start at the decimal point and then write the numbers around those. That ensures that you line up your decimals and that you keep your numbers all lined up. Now we need to remember that we're adding, and that all these empty places, we might want to add some placeholders, especially in these two right here. Kind of helps me keep everything all lined up. This one, you can add it if you want to, but you really don't have to. So now all we do is add, like the step said. 0 and 5 make 5. 0 and 6 make 6. 9 and 7 make 16. So we carry the 1, bring the decimal down. Please do not forget to bring the decimal down. 7, 6, and 1 gives us 14. 3 and 5 plus 1 gives us 9. And then we just bring our 4 straight on down. And we end up with that as our answer. Well, let's try one more. That one was pretty simple. Only had two numbers to it. What if we had a series of numbers? It's very important that we keep our numbers lined up. So we start with this 75. And the 75, you'll notice, doesn't have a decimal. Well, since it's a whole number, its decimal is always found at the end. So we take our 75 point. And then our next number is 6.38. 6.38. 0.052, so we start here at the decimal, 0.052. And then the 32.6, and it's really important that we just keep our decimals lined up to write this one, because we don't have numbers to really help us with our alignment. So we get 2, 3, and then 6. And now all we're ready to do is add them together. Now in a problem like this, it is definitely important to add your zeros, because it just allows us to line everything up and to make sure the numbers go with the right numbers. So now we add things up. We end up on this first one, 0, 0, 2, and 0 is 2. 0, 8, 5, and 0 gives us 13. Carry the 1. 1, 0, 3, 0, 6 gives us 10. Carry the 1, bring our decimal straight down. 6 and 5 make 11. Plus 1 gives us 12. 13, 14. Carry the 1. 7, 3, and 1 gives us 11. So we end up with 114 and 32 thousandths. Now what if we had subtraction? Is it the same way? Yes, same exact way. 97.23 minus 9.042. But this time, zeros are mandatory, because we can't borrow, and we have to have something to borrow from for this 2. So we have to add a 0 up there. So we come over here. I can't do 0 take away 2, so I borrow from the 3. It becomes a 2. And now we have 10 take away 0, which gives us an 8. And if we just brought that 2 down, you see we've already missed it. So we borrow from this 2 here. It becomes a 1. This becomes a 12. 12 take away 4 gives us another 8. 1 take away 0 is 1. I can't do 7 take away 9, so I borrow again from the 9. It becomes an 8. This becomes a 17. 17 take away 9 gives us 8. And then we bring our 8 straight down. So subtraction is the same way. But this time, we need to kind of look at this stuff with a little bit of a twist. Okay, so what if I gave you a negative decimal? Can you have that? Yes, you can. It's just now what we've got to think about is, not only do we think about our decimal rules, but we have to think about our integer rules. Even though this is not an integer, it's still a negative number, and it follows the same set of rules. So in subtraction, if you remember, we did LCO, which stood for leave the first number alone, don't mess with it. change subtraction to addition, and change the next number to its opposite. And then we revert back to our addition rules. And now you'll notice that these two numbers are both positive, so we just add them together. 832 decimal, 45.93, and we just add them up. Add our zeros, so we end up with 3, 9, bring down your decimal, 778, 877.93. So working with the integers is really no big deal. It's the same exact thing. We just got to think about what do we do with our signs. With that in mind, let's look at this problem. This one is a true fun problem. So here we've got positives, we've got pluses, we've got negatives, we've got minus, and we got minus negatives. So in our integer rules, what we really came up with, instead of thinking LCO, we really need to think, go to our subtraction sign, change subtraction to addition, next number to its opposite. Change the subtraction sign to addition, next number to its opposite. This one we don't mess with. It's a plus, so I don't do anything with this. Now, once I've changed everything to an addition problem, we just put like things together. You'll notice we have a 2.5 that's positive and a 6.05 that's also positive. So those go together. 2.5 plus 6.05, and we add. We add our 0, and we end up with 8.55, which is positive. Now we come and we take our negative numbers and we put those together. So we have 0.62, and then we've got the 12 decimals at the end. So I'm lining this up. My 12 actually goes out in the front. Add our extra zeros. Okay, and sometimes you can even add them at the top if it helps. And we end up with 26.21 or 12.62, and we know that that is negative because we were putting our negatives together. And now we have an 8.55 plus a negative 12.62. So now our signs are different, so that means we subtract our numbers. So I'm going to take the 12.62, put it on top because it has the greater absolute value, and subtract from that the 8.55. So we borrow. So 12 take away 5 gives us 7, 0, and then 12 take away 8 gives us 4. So we end up with an answer of 4.07, but it's going to be negative because our 12.62 had a greater absolute value, and it was negative. And that's how you add and subtract decimals that involve positive and negative numbers.